That's right, guys, I am actually talking about Fairy Tail 100 Years Quests. I know a long time ago I made a video about me catching up to 100 Years Quest and how much I was loving it and how much I just straight up enjoyed it, and said that after I got a certain amount of likes or views that I would start reviewing it. And then I asked my community if they wanted me to read it and review it, and honestly, overwhelmingly, you guys said yes, you wanted me to review it. But I kind of kept putting it off as I was doing Four Nights and Eden Zero when I couldn't afford to do a third series. Now I put Eden Zero on the back burner for reviews at the moment to let the chapters roll out, as I feel like I want to do bigger videos for Eden Zero, as I think it deserves more larger discussion based videos. So I got some stuff planned for the future for that. But after seeing that my initial 100 Years Quest review catch up video reached over 1,000 views, I figured, you know what, let's give this a go. As the current arc in the manga is doing fairly well, and I have to admit, I am loving every minute of it, and I can't wait to see what happens next. And spoiler alert, this chapter was actually really damn good, so we'll get on to the video right after that intro. So before we get into the actual review, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really does help. And if you want to do more fairy tale type content in the future, let me know in the comments down below and help this video get to a very significant amount of views, as I do want to cover this series on a bi-weekly basis, as I do want to start talking about fairy tale a lot more. And who knows, maybe I'll do a read-through of the manga and re-review all of the previous arcs of the series with everything I know in mind. If that's something you guys would be interested in, let me know in the comments down below, and don't forget to like the video and once more. Now then, on to chapter 106 of Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest, aptly titled Flame and Moon. Now this chapter, I have to say, it starts off right from the heels of last week's chapter, as it had Urza fighting Misaki, one of the Dragon Slayer's Diablos, the Black Dragon Knights, or the Dark Dragon Knights, who had this weird and powerful dimension ability that sucked Urza in, and basically whatever damage Urza or anybody in that dimension took would have that amount of damage multiplied by however long they were in there, by hours of anything, like a few seconds or end up being a few hours. So it would be an intense amount of pain. Urza managed to override it with her own magic, and thus was able to defeat Misaki fairly aptly. And with this chapter starting off with both of them being removed from Misaki's dimension, Urza falls to the ground and is writhing in agony as she got accumulated with an incredible amount of damage from that attack. Luckily, Wendy shows up in the nick of time, as she tends to do when it comes to these situations, and manages to heal Urza and help with the pain. But it didn't really recover Urza to full strength, and she still received a crap ton of damage, as it is a lot worse than she initially thought. But yeah, Wendy and Lily meet up with Carla, Urza, Gajeel, and Gray. And Misaki is shown to be down for the count. And I like Gray and Carla's reaction, saying that, well, the odds were against her and she still got the job done. And that's just Urza for you. So, in all honesty, in any fight in Fairy Tail, with someone against Urza, chances are Urza's gonna win in the end. It's Urza. But yeah, I like how we're acknowledging the Dragon Slayer that Wendy defeated, thanks to Irene and Lily, and that Wendy wouldn't leave him alone, and Wendy ends up asking to leave the kid with Misaki, as they are from the same guild. But it turns out the kid was still conscious, and he just grabs onto Wendy, saying that he wants to stay with her, as Gajeel just punches him over the head and knocks him unconscious. That interaction was kind of funny and a nice little levity to the serious situation that we had in last chapter. Anyway, they go to try and meet up with the others, and we cut to Lucy and Loxus as Virgo appears, and she basically ties Lucy with rope around her to hold her and stuff like that, as Loxus is like, is that really a way to carry her? As, well, this is Virgo, so we all kind of know her masochistic tendencies. So yeah, she's like, don't worry, she likes to be tied up like this. Oh man, and Loxus is just right there with us. Is like, man, I feel sorry for Lucy for being with you all the time. I love Virgo. She adds some much needed levity to any situation that she is in. But yeah, I feel like, I don't know, it happens a lot. But anyway, after that really brief one-page catch-up with Lucy and Loxus, we jump back to Suzaku and Natsu's group as they essentially reach the staircase that seems to be going underground to where Ignia was headed after their previous encounter. Natsu and Happy are beginning to charge right in, but Suzaku tells them to hold on for a second. As he explains that throughout the labyrinth, there was a thick atmosphere of magic power every level as they descended. But for some reason, when they're so close to the depths, there's going to be a lot. And he also tells Natsu to be careful. Natsu and Happy still rush right in, as Suzaku is telling them to wait. But Natsu says, look Suzaku, you are not the one who hasn't been careful till now. And Natsu, with a serious face, is like, from the moment Ignia showed up, I've always been ready for a war. So, while Natsu is still being Natsu, he does understand the gravity of the situation. He's seen what Ignia can do. And despite him technically being his brother, since Ignia is the biological son of Igniel, Natsu is ready to throw hands with him and to take him on, despite Ignia confirming that at this moment Natsu isn't strong enough to defeat Ignia at this point. Will Natsu prove him wrong? Probably, but we're still not in the end game of this. And we're going to get into what the potential end game is for the story as we move on. We reach the depths of the cavern, as apparently, as acknowledged by Suzaku, the air is different about this place, and Ignia is still further down, and he's on that floor. We then reach the core of the labyrinth, as Ignia looks at the heart of Lemsir, and states the name Dogramag, who was one of the former members of the 5 dragon gods that Lemsir managed to defeat all those centuries ago. But Ignia begins to continue to explain as he understands a plan. He used this heart to advance Ignia's plan. You really were my one true friend. So, Ignia and this former dragon god, Dogramag, were fairly close. Good friends, to an extent that they had a plan. And Dogramag, despite his body being decomposed and this creating this labyrinth, essentially being part of his body, Lemsir left his heart there with all the knowledge that he knows to essentially keep it in check. But it seems that subconsciously or leftover Ethernet or what have you, Dogramag kind of used this in kind of a post-mortem magical power to fuel the heart and help with the advancement of this plan that he had with Ignia. And apparently he had the same idea as Ignia, and now he grabs the heart, saying that he gets started. But then a distortion in space appears as Celine appears ready to attack Ignia. As they notice each other, they both strike against each other as they basically exchange hellos to an extent, as Celine wants to grab the heart. Now here's the thing, Celine wanted the heart to begin with, but she could have warped them all anywhere in the dungeon. She basically made this into a game between Fairy Tail's Dragon Slayers and Urza and Lucy against Diablos and their Dragon Slayers. She could have gone to the heart at any time from what it seems like it, but she wanted to entertain herself. But now that Ignia is around, playtime is over and she's going to go and do what she has to do. So Ignia goes on to explain what Lemsir's heart essentially is, and that he remembers where to find every single weapon made by man. And that Celine was going to use that information to go and kill Ignia and Fairness, the other dragon god. So there are weapons that could actually harm and kill dragons from the looks of it. So what are these weapons? I'm not entirely sure. They might be similar to the faces or maybe the other stuff that we've seen from Fairy Tail. But Celine said that she never really imagined that Ignia would desire the power of humans as well. But Ignia says he has no interest in those weapons, confusing Celine for a second, as he then says he doesn't need this heart anymore either. Perhaps he absorbed the magical power from it, from what we can tell. He doesn't seem to have done anything with the heart at this very instant. But as he holds it out, he then burns it with his flame. And in that instant, Lemsir collapses to the ground, as this was his heart from when he was human, and from what we can tell, it was the reason he was still alive. So now with the heart being burned, he is collapsing and dying. Will he actually die? Because that's an interesting question. He was the one that assigned the Sentry Quest to Fairy Tail. If he dies, the person that enlisted the 100 Years Quest, the Sentry Quest, to these wizards dies, is the contract null and void? Will they be able to get the entire guild in on the Sentry Quest now that the contract essentially would be null and void? I'm not 100% sure on the details of how that works, but if that is the case, they could tell Loxus and Gagiel and maybe even get the twin dragons in on it, as this is a dragon type story, and Frang and the other dragon slayers could actually kind of help with this matter. But anyway, we cut back to Celine and Ignia, as Ignia has seemingly completely charred and burned away the heart. As apparently Dogramag was using that heart to advance a certain plan of his, or more specifically, Ignia's. Celine, angry and honestly seemingly disturbed about this, while Ignia continues to explain that Celine kind of guesses what Ignia has planned. As they both begin to transform into dragons again, Ignia asks why Celine is siding with the humans, seemingly. And Celine says that the age of dragons is over now. I mean, it makes sense, they're the only dragons left on the planet. But Ignia says, no, it's only just beginning. As they both emerge from the labyrinth in their dragon forms, ready to face off against each other. Ignia stating that he's going to burn Celine to ashes, and Celine stating that she's going to erase him from existence. And we get the full dragon designs of both, as Natsu and Suzaku notice the two dragons getting ready to face off, ending the chapter. So, I gotta say, this was a really good chapter, and honestly I was originally planning to start doing reviews of this series once chapter 100 dropped, but, you know, like I mentioned before, other reasons why I didn't get into it. But I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen with this chapter, what the following chapter is, or what Ignia's plan truly is, because Ignia's been an enigma. We've only seen him like maybe like 2 or 3 times throughout this entire sequel, as he encountered Natsu once and helped them take down Mercphobia in the first arc of the story. So I'm very confused and also intrigued of what Ignia has planned, what him and Dogramag were planning over these last seemingly hundreds of years. As Dogramag's corpse was accumulating magic seemingly within Elefsir's heart, who was the Law Dragon with all sorts of knowledge, and now Ignia seemingly does not need that heart anymore. Doesn't need the knowledge from it. Perhaps he just needed the magical power, or maybe he, upon touching it, absorbed all the knowledge that he needed from Elefsir's heart. Now, there is a theory that another YouTuber, I think called Rax the Hero, stated in a tweet that perhaps Ignia is planning to use these human weapons or the magical power to enact some grand plan to revive the dragons, or create a new age of dragons. And Celine seemingly has kind of come to terms with the fact that the age of dragons is over, and she's content with being basically one of the last ones until she inevitably dies at some point in the story, and just wants to be perhaps the only dragon guard out there and wants to get rid of the rest of them. And maybe she has a fondness for humans, from what I can tell. But still, these characters, I'm very interested in what they have planned. Celine kind of has an idea of what Ignia has planned, and for sure enough, Ignia is definitely going to defeat Celine, because he is seemingly one of the strongest characters in this sequel, as he's been built up to be. But this upcoming fight is seemingly to be very, very intense. Now, how the fight is going to happen with Natsu and Suzaku and the rest of the Dragon Slayers that are still active, I have no idea, because Kieran is still out there. Perhaps he's going to have some role to play, as there was a lot being built up with the coffin that he carries, and it having the soul of a king. I got no idea. Despite how this arc is setting things up for a potential endgame for this series, we still have another dragon god out there, and there's just a whole lot of stuff we have no idea what's going to happen. But I'm excited. And we're within the next chapter or two, we'll most likely get just the battle between Celine and Ignia, and the defeat of Celine at some point, or perhaps she'll either die or just be utterly defeated as Ignia just pieces out. And then we get the battle, an eventual battle to basically take down Ignia at some point. And maybe Diablos and Fairy Tail will form some kind of truce to take down Ignia, as he's being set up to be the big bad. But yeah, that's my thoughts on this chapter of Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest. I honestly do hope to start making videos on Fairy Tail again. If you really want me to keep doing reviews, like and get the view count up, as I do want this to be a mainstay on the channel. And also want to do more Fairy Tail content in the future, as I do enjoy the franchise and the series as a whole. So if you guys want to see me talk about Fairy Tail more in whatever manner you want, just to see me talk about it, let me know in the comments down below. Like and subscribe to the channel for more videos. Also, if you want to support the channel more directly, go check out my Patreon and my Ko-fi accounts, as I do have editors helping me out with a lot of these videos, whether it be my reviews or my larger review or discussion videos that I have a ton planned for the future of this channel that I'm really excited to get started on. So every little bit helps. And with all that said and done, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you all have an awesome day.